to the pilot episode of Usapang Bedista. My name is AJ Santos, your host for today. I graduated in San Beda in 2006 with a degree in International Business and Entrepreneurial Management. Our guest for today is one of the Golden Jubilarian celebrants, and he graduated grade school in 1964 and high school in 1968. He was a postulant in both his freshman and sophomore years in high school at the Abbey of Our Lady of Montserrat. He attended Ateneo in college for 3 years and then went to Cal State Los Angeles and finished college there. In 1973, he worked for ARCO until 1995. Currently, he is a professor in Mount San Antonio, and he is a professor in computer information systems, and he has worked there since 1995. In addition to that, he has been actively involved in the San Beda Alumni Association since 1981, and he became president in 1982. Let me present to you our first guest, Mr. Vic Zamora. So, how are you, Tito Vic?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate the opportunity to be your guest.
And thank you also for the opportunity for allowing us to have this conversation. So, knowing that you've been actively involved in the association since 1981, what made you and your group to have an association like this here in Southern California?
Well, basically the association started in 1980s with a group of high school graduates of 1955 headed by Louis Onrubia. And Louis Onrubia was the first president. And I think I came along soon after he was elected president, and I spent time during his presidency actively supporting it. And to my surprise, I was elected the second president. I think their batch thought that, oh, here's a young guy, maybe he can do something about it. And luckily, they gave me full support, and we introduced a lot of new projects and ideas, which even up to now is probably still being used. The first one being a camping expedition, and nobody knew what to do with it, but essentially all the Bedans who could attended, and they had a good time, and so it has become a tradition. Obviously, we still celebrate on an annual basis the induction ball, and for most part, I think the success of the organization depends on the support that it gets from its members.
Okay, that's good to hear. So, what was the purpose of the organization before?
Well, at that time, you have to imagine this is the early 80s, and there were not too many Bedans that we were aware of. So, like in my particular case, I was the only graduate or from my batch, high school 68. I did not know anyone until maybe about 5 or 6 years later, when I started seeing my own classmates come in. But it was a way of me reaching out to other Bedans, and also they, even though they're older or younger than me, they found camaraderie, with everyone. So it was not a case of, oh, you're my batch, so you're my friend. No, it's you're a Bedan, and therefore you're my friend. And so that is the main purpose, friendship and camaraderie, because we all went to the same school.
Oh wow, okay. So being a young president,
yes,
in a new association or organization, were there any challenges that you faced, and how were you able to overcome these challenges?
Well, of course, you will always have challenges like this because everything was new, and the only way I could do it was just propose the idea, and the good thing was everyone supported me at that point in time. I think it was the good experience that we had, that whenever we introduced new ideas, people came together and said, okay, that would be good. So I think one of the things that we also started was having, let's say, like a Christmas party, because that was a natural thing. As a Filipino, you're talking about, oh, Pasko na naman, ano gagawin natin? So it was a good thing to do, to recall things that we used to do as Bedans and as Filipinos. And so anytime we introduced something, there were questions, but in most cases there was support.
Okay.
So in a way, I was lucky being the second president, because then there was not much history.
Okay.
So we could get away with a lot of things.
Okay, so like today, like I wouldn't know that much. So today, it's easier for us to market. It's easy for us to get more members with Facebook, with email, with text messaging. How were you able to promote your events, and how were you able to invite members or discover members with regard to the association?
To be honest with you, I think earlier we were talking about this. How did I even discover this association? I have no idea. And the only thing I could think of was I might have read in a local Filipino paper, a weekly paper, that there was a SBAASC Alumni Association and they were going to meet at a certain place. And I went and attended. And then to my surprise, there were Bedans in this particular restaurant. I can't recall the name. And I got hooked because I needed a place to belong. And therefore I said, okay, fine, we'll do this. And for most part, we had landlines, phone landlines. We didn't have cell phones. And we had addresses. So essentially at that time, we mailed stuff. It was one of the biggest expense we had, mailing stuff. The other one was obviously just making phone calls. And so it was just the sheer effort of everyone saying, okay, I have this list, you have that list, make phone calls. We had a, what do you call this, a calling tree, a phone tree. And we were involved in calling each one and make sure they are aware of this event.
Oh,
and that's
wow.
basically how we did it. Of course, no internet.
Wow, that's great to hear. So, because like today, everything is easier for us with the technology that's available and with social media. So we get to overlook certain things and how difficult it was for you and your group before.
Yeah, of course, there are good things and bad things. Social media is good because it's almost instantaneous. But then at the same time, it is good to have time in between events wherein we don't talk to each other. And so there's a feeling of like, oh, when will I see these people again? And then when you get to see them, there's a sort of a good feeling. And every time you meet, it's really a good feel. Nowadays, it's like, oh, okay, it's another thing. So the newness or it's no longer there. I think the immediacy of modern media is such that we lose the magic of seeing each other every so often only. And therefore, I think that's what kept the organization. It was a good thing to be with other people that you don't see so often. And so it was magical seeing each other at that point in time.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that because being in the States and our alma mater being in the Philippines, it's really nice to see classmates or friends that you see on campus. I totally agree with you on that. Moving forward, is there like any advice as a golden jubilarian celebrant to us younger Bedans who's here in the States or is elsewhere? Is there like any advice that you would like to give us moving forward?
Well, as I said, the ability to meet other Bedans gave me a secure feel that I had friends, or even though I don't know them, we have shared a common education, and therefore I knew how they felt. I knew where they're going to, and just being around them made me feel in a good place. And I think that's what an alumni association would do for you. And so, while we have our own friends, it is still quite unique that you are with your co-Bedans you share through generations. Because I can relate to you even though you're like 30 years younger than me.
Just
And,
30?
maybe more. But the whole point is, if I mention to you the Sambeda Chapel, if I mention to you the drummer boy,
Yes.
if I mention to you Saint Benedict's Hall, you know what that means.
Yes, indeed.
So I spent my life there, for 14 years, no, 12, no, 11 years, sorry. But the whole point is, you can relate to that.
Yes.
Nobody else could. So if you're here and you're with Bedans, you have a home.
Yes.
Okay, so I worked independently. I had my own career. Most of the other Bedans in the Alumni Association had their own career, had their own business, and yet those were nothing compared to when we're together. We don't even discuss, oh, what do you do for work? How's your business? We don't even talk about that. It's just like, oh, how's some better? So I think by having other Bedans now, especially nowadays, this is a way of connecting. And there's a Bedan, part of the association at one time. His name is Adrian Gomez. And one of the things that he encouraged was the ability to connect to each other. And that was his initiative. And I think for your group, that should continue, because as you were relating to me, you are meeting with new Bedans who are coming here fresh from the Philippines, and they're looking for people to contact and talk to, and that's what you should encourage. And this is a way of connecting, and I think a lot of Bedans here have now started businesses, have done how would you call it, work with others, and that has really has given them the right things that they need at that time.
So yeah, I do thank you for being one of the people who started or got involved early in the association, because 30 years or 36 years, I'm sorry, from the time that it was established or started, it's still going strong. We're still doing the same events. We still have the same goals or aspirations for the association, and I'm very grateful for that, because being a Bedan here in the States, I do like the Bedan culture, the brotherhood that we have, the camaraderie that we have, and the ora et labora. So we say prayer and work, which, as what you've said, we rarely get it from our work peers here, from our families and friends outside of the Bedan community. So I really like to thank you for that, Mr. Zamora.
Okay, thank you very much too.
So thank you so much for watching our pilot episode. Hoping that you'll support and watch our future episodes and future interviews here at Usapang Bedista. Have a good day, and God bless.